One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
This week, I'm starting a new series of videos in which I review classic episodes of Doctor Who. Each week will see me watch a popular story from each Doctor that I've never seen before, then give my thoughts on the episode in a short but detailed review. I began this week with a first Doctor classic, the Dalek Invasion of Earth. Not only does this story mark the second appearance of the Daleks in the series, but also the departure of Susan Foreman, the Doctor's granddaughter, the first companion ever to leave the show. The plot begins with the TARDIS landing in London. However, companions Ian and Barbara soon realise that this is a London from the future, not from their time. As the story develops, the Doctor and his friends soon discover that an alien invasion has taken place. While the humanoid Robo-Men seem slightly unusual at first, the Daleks are quick to reveal themselves as the main enemy of the episode. This leads me on to the first point that I'd like to make, which concerns cliffhangers, but in particular the climax of Part 1. Although I knew from the title that the Daleks were set to make a return, the iconic moment one rose from the depths of the Thames was extremely thrilling. What's more, is if somehow the viewer had no prior knowledge that the Daleks were to reappear, it would have been even more exciting, especially as they made such an impact when they debuted almost a year ago. It suddenly struck me that despite the fact that the story was made in the 1960s, this is the kind of cliffhanger that wouldn't really be out of place in the revived series. While not all of the cliffhangers were particularly great, I couldn't help seeing other parallels between this story and those from the modern era. Perhaps the most obvious is the concept of having the Daleks invade Earth, one that has been repeated multiple times again, particularly when Russell T Davies was in charge. Annoying as the music is, the scenes showing the Daleks patrol London are remarkably exciting to watch. The idea of a full-scale invasion very much lends itself to some very visual shots, such as the iconic moments in which the Daleks glide over Westminster Bridge. Quite a big difference I noticed though, is the way that the Daleks are written. Whereas nowadays the Daleks seem to want to exterminate everyone they come across, the Daleks in this story seem somewhat reserved to me, and ever so slightly naive. This is possibly because they need lots of humans to work in their mines. However, in no way did these Daleks appear more merciful, possibly instead just a little more tactical, making use of humans to work for them as their slaves. Another unexpected element for me was the romance that blossomed between Susan and new character David. Characters, and in particular companions, are known for not being necessarily that well written in the classic era, in terms of how relatable and realistic they are, so I was pleasantly surprised. It was interesting to see the relationship pan out over the 6 parts, providing some good character development for Susan. Various discussions surrounding what the pair will do when the invasion is over foreshadow Susan staying behind with David to start a new life on Earth. Prior to watching, I knew that Susan's farewell was coming, which then leads on to the Doctor's one-day speech, although I'd never imagined it would be so poignant. I was intrigued to see how the events leading up to this climax panned out, although I was genuinely surprised to see the Doctor leave her behind so abruptly, and how emotional the scene ended up coming across. This final moment was definitely the highlight of the episode for me. Although the whole story in a way leads up to this farewell, bizarrely it contrasts with everything that's gone before. I think it's important to have calmer, more reflective moments in stories like this about attack and chaos. Now that I've watched Susan's farewell, I'd like to share my thoughts on the character coming back, in the form of Maisie Williams' character, a slightly strange theory that's been speculated by many. To be honest, I don't see any reason for Susan to come back during Series 9. Furthermore, I don't see any parallels between her and this new character at this point in time, although we have only seen Maisie speak one line so far. However, overall, I don't particularly subscribe to this idea. To sum up, I thought the Dalek Invasion of Earth was a pretty decent story, given that it came from an era of black and white television and wobbly sets. The Daleks were written well, as were the characters. What's more is that the plot seemed fairly evenly spread out. 6 parts seemed about right to me. With lots of iconic moments, and a superb first cliffhanger, I can see why this story has been well received by fans of many generations. Out of those I've seen so far, it's my favourite Hartnell story, and I would definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't already. Next week, I will be moving on to the Troughton era with the Ice Warriors. Until then, goodbye.